Now we're talking.
Hector, delighted to have you, sir.
Hello, delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
I was gonna start this off with where were you born?
I was born in Sydney, Australia. I was born in Sydney.
In Sydney, and I saw also you were grew up in Bosnia.
Yeah. So I spent a good chunk of my youth in Bosnia, and in Australia as well. Born in Australia, raised in Australia, and raised in Bosnia. And yeah, now I'm living in the UK, in Scotland.
Nice. And yeah, where were you vacationing at? Where did you travel recently?
Right now, when you hit me up, Christian, when you hit me up, I was actually in my motherland in Bosnia. It was beautiful. It was just good time, spending time with the family, with friends, and yeah, just the roots. It was good. It was a good time.
Yeah, it looked beautiful. I was
Hmm.
watching your stories, and everything just looks super like cinematic.
Yeah, it's very cinematic, and I think that that's what people tend to kind of overlook about the region, about the Balkans. That's Bosnia is in this geographic region in Europe, in Southeast Europe, called the Balkans. And it's pretty much got everything geographically speaking. Not everything, but like it's very diverse. Bosnia is a really small country, right? But it's got lots of mountains and heaps of forests. It's got some flat land up in the north and some very Mediterranean land as well. It's kind of like a mix of like alpine and Mediterranean. It's really hot in the summer and it's really cold in the winter. It's yeah, it's intense, you know what I mean?
Wanted to mention that this is like a full circle thing for me because I'm a couple months ago I'm talking with this girl and we were at my place and we were about to leave somewhere. I always have my Spotify connected to my TV,
Mm-hmm.
and as we're heading out, we both see your Untitled 91 artwork, and she kind of like giggles like, "Oh, that's a dope artwork," and I'm like, I love it because I had a mushroom haircut till I was like 6 or 7. I was like, he
Yeah.
kind of looks like me.
Dude, that was the shit back then, as they say. The bowl cut.
Yep.
It was so popular. Every 7-year-old had a bowl cut at one point in their seventh year, right? They had
Yeah.
a bowl cut. I
It
had a
seems like
perfect bowl cut. At one point mine was woof, just perfect. And in that photo, yeah. So you had one too, Christian, yeah?
mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice. Nice,
And
nice.
it's like really full circle because she lives out of town, and um that was the last time she was in town, and now she's in town again today. So what
Nice.
I'm gonna see her later. I'm gonna be like, hey, I interviewed that guy with the bowl cut.
That's insane. That's funny. Say hi to her for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that photo was taken, man, when I was a little boy. And that's from the first album. So it's kind of like a collage. So, well, it is a collage. The photo of me as a little boy is when I was around like 6 or 7 years old. And that was when I was still in Australia. And then the background, the buildings, what you see, the kind of grayish, that's Sarajevo. That's the capital city of Bosnia, and that's where I would later on move in my life. Um, and kind of that's kind of the concept about where I come from. Where I grew up in both places, both Australia and in Bosnia, and that's kind of yeah.
I did see that it was taken like at a Sydney bus stop. and
Yeah.
yeah, it was the backdrop of like the city you later grew up in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's cool.
It's like all connected in a way.
It is all connected. I think that photo of me as a kid just kind of, you're a kid, you know what I mean? You're happy, you're naive, you don't know what's really going on. And I was fortunate enough to have a good childhood and those, and then later on, moving to Sarajevo was like just a big wake up call. You know what I mean? The realities of life. Sarajevo is a very beautiful city, but it shaped my music in a big way, in a really, really big way. And yeah, that's where I kind of discovered music, really discovered it, befriended music.
It's cool that you say that because that was my next question. Do you remember at what age you became aware of music?
I think around I mean, as a songwriter, or do you mean just in general?
In general, like as a listener, you know?
Like a proper listener, like a fan, you mean? Yeah. I mean, the earliest like I can recall is like being in love with stuff like Linkin Park. You know what I mean? Back in the day, even Limp Bizkit. But way back when I was like a little boy. But way, way before that, I was into as a kid. I grew up with like Bosnian music and Bosnian war songs because when I was a little baby, the war was going on in Bosnia. I was in Australia, so but still, like my parents played lots of songs from the war, and mainly patriotic songs that were kind of written to kind of raise the morale of the people because of what was going on. And so that definitely had an imprint on me as a very, very small child. And then moving on in my teen years, I would say around 13, when I moved to Bosnia, that's when I really became in love with music because I was somewhat lonely. And so I confided in music. And, that's where I discovered Nirvana and the classics, Nirvana, Queen. I was in love with Queen, love Queen, still love them. Um, and naturally the Beatles, and I can see that you're a Beatles fan. Uh, you know, not that many people are, to be honest with you. It's quite a small band. Uh, I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
I also saw that you visited Freddie Mercury's house back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I visited Freddie Mercury's house the first time I was in London. Um, it's quite some time ago. I went to his house to pay my respect. Garden Lodge is his mansion in Kensington. And I believe it's in Kensington. And, he had that much of an impact on me, as a teenager that I felt I always knew one day that I'm going to go, if I'm ever in the UK, I'm going to go pay my respect in one way or another. Kind of stalkerish when you think about it, but, typical.
Nah, man, that's so cool because I also saw that you think it was Liverpool that where you saw like John Lennon's or like the Beatles kind of
Yeah,
museum.
dude. Yes, yes. You did your research, Christian. You've done your research. It's all there, though. It's all there. That was really cool. I did the Magical Mystery Tour. So it's like a bus tour, right? And you go throughout Liverpool and you go to where they grew up, all their houses, and uh, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane. It was just beautiful, on a just very rainy, wet, miserable, gray, typical Liverpudlian day. I was on cloud nine. It was very emotional for me because I love the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I'm not gonna lie. I love them.
Think two guests ago we had a Beatles conversation as well, and two questions I like to ask is: do you have favorite Beatles, a favorite Beatle, and a favorite Beatles record?
Ah, that's a tough one. It's like if I say it, we all have a favorite Beatle, don't we?
I do.
Right?
Yeah,
Can you tell me yours?
George.
George. He was incredible.
it's
Why?
never it's never changed for me. Like I do respect all of them, but George has always been the coolest one for me, and like the one that kind of hits the feels more for some reason.
Yeah,
His solo stuff in particular.
true. I would have to say, and it's the unpopular one, but he's the most popular one. But amongst like musicians, I feel like it's almost like, but Paul, I'm a Paul guy,
Right on.
just in so many ways. I think that he was, I think that he was a power horse, right? Is that a word? Is that a saying? Is that even a thing? Probably.
Let's run with it. Let's
Let's run with it. This guy, okay, basically, he was the real leader, right? When Brian Epstein passed away, Paul had to get involved and said, "Look, guys, we've got to do something about this. We've got to carry on. And I got a great idea." And he probably came up with Sergeant Pepper. I think that was before or after. I'm not sure. But like he was a leader at the toughest of times. And I think that when Epstein, Brian Epstein, when he passed away, um, the band was left wounded and kind of lost a little bit. And Paul kind of got them out of that rut, which was really important. And they went on to make some incredible music thanks to his leadership and his drive. And of course, thanks to all four of them, really. But I think that he played a big role in just kind of saying we got to keep going. And I think that that's pretty commendable. And he's a kick-ass songwriter. I mean, that's an understatement. I mean, it's Paul McCartney. He's incredible, you know. But they're all incredible.
I used to record music with some dude that was a hardcore Lennon fan, but he was just a huge Beatles head. And he
Hmm.
told me that, yeah, kind of what you were saying. Paul was a bit of a perfectionist, and I believe it could have been the White Album, or I'm not sure which one, but he told me this little story about Paul not being too happy with Ringo's drumming on I think that album, a lot of the songs on that album.
I think so.
And
I think a few songs.
yeah, and that he recorded the drums on the songs. I don't know if this is true or not, but I was like, what?
I'm gonna link you a video after this where some guy like tries to do he does like an in-depth investigative video about like who did what on the White Album, particularly the drumming, because with some of the songs it's like it's very it's of high it's very
Of
debated.
debate.
Yeah, it's very of high debate, just like who did what. I think on Dear Prudence, I think there was suggestions, but then again, a lot of the feels that I hear, the drum feels on Dear Prudence, they sound like Ringo. And man, I love that song. That song I love. That's probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Dear Prudence. There's some just I love that album, that double album. It's so good. What's your favorite album?
Mine's probably Revolver, I
Yeah,
would say.
Revolver's great. Revolver is amazing, and that's when they went full. Okay, now we're gonna kind of really show people who we are, and what we're about fully. I think there was less of an influence of kind of like the traditional kind of like she loves you, yeah, that kind of vibe. That all,
Yep.
and don't get me wrong, they still wrote love songs even on that album, I believe. Um, but yeah, just more psychedelic, I guess, more rock
Yeah.
oriented. Really cool.
And then I think the first one that I became super into when I was a teenager was Rubber Soul.
Yeah, Rubber
That
Soul's
one,
beautiful.
yeah, I that one I think there was a friend of mine that said, "Man, you could tell they're just smoking so much during that time."
Yeah. Did you know that the title, the album title, I believe, comes from like Rubber Soul? It's like them pretending to be like like four white guys trying to make like soulful music. I think that's what it comes from.
Ooh.
which is cool title, like Rubber Soul, you know? What a weird title. Um, but like, yeah, that's when they really started smoking weed. I think they started smoking weed before that a little bit. I think that was like during like Hard Day's Night, pretty
Uh,
sure. Or was it Help? I'm not sure. Don't quote me. I know that Bob Dylan got them into that kind of stuff. And then, Bob's your uncle, as they say. You know how it goes.
yeah, my friend was like, man, you could tell Lennon was super doped up on
Yeah.
I think Girl, where he's like, my girl. Ah.
Yeah, true. True. And Girl is kind of like a sister song to Michelle because
Oh,
Michelle had that's a Paul shined. He
mhm.
shined with that song. And then John was looking from the sidelines and hearing everyone's just like, I love that song, Paul. It's just amazing, Michelle. Thanks. It's a cute little ditty. And then John's just like, and then John literally is just like, is there anybody going to listen to my story? Because he felt, like
Left
left
out.
out. That's how I always kind of pictured it. It's kind of funny.
I like that in the middle of that ongoing friendly competition between Lennon and McCartney, um, they still had those humble moments where they'd be like, "Hey, man, George did the best song on Abbey Road." I remember Lennon straight up said to like an interview, he's like, "Something is like the best song on that album."
Yeah. That is beautiful. I mean, imagine the pressure, you know what I mean, of being in a band that big and you're the kind of first band that's doing it that way, you know? So, and the ego that comes with that would be next level. And yeah, that song is incredible. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I was also wondering, at what age did you pick up your first instrument?
I picked up my first instrument when I was around 15. No, yeah, 15, 16. I played a little bit of guitar when I was at like friends' places like earlier on. I was always interested. If I saw it around, I'd be like, what's this thing? When I was like 12 or whatever. But later on, I really wanted one. So I asked my parents to get me a guitar. Um, my dad got me a guitar. I think it was for my first guitar was for my 16th birthday. And I just became obsessed with it. And the first thing that I really did was I just began writing, you know? I just started coming up with my own stuff back then. That sounds a bit, "Oh, look at you." No, but really, like, I just straight away wanted to, like, try to come up with something on my own, you know? See if I could.
And was it acoustic or electric?
It was electric. It was an SX guitar. You know the knockoff kind of Fender ones?
Uh-huh.
I had like a knockoff like right-handed because I'm a lefty. Um Beautiful guitar. I mean, like a cream colored one. And it's a hunk of junk, but it was the first thing that I had. That was the first thing that I had. And I just, tinker it away, tinker it away, tinker it away. Then I got my acoustic guitar. That was another thing. That's when I realized, okay, on the acoustic, you can actually do some proper songwriting. This is more for songwriting. And I haven't had that many guitars like in my life, to be honest with you. Like I bought my first proper guitar when I moved back to Sydney when I was 19. Um, I got my hands on a Fender Jaguar, a left-handed one that was made in Japan. And I still have that, and I've recorded each album, all my songs, everything I've ever recorded, every gig I've played, everything I've played it using that guitar. Yeah,
Nice. What was the first concert you ever attended?
man. The first like proper concert I ever went to was Bob Dylan in Croatia. That was in Zagreb. Zagreb is do you know Zagreb?
No.
It's the capital of Croatia. I went there and that was interesting. That was interesting. I mean, listen, I was a big Dylan fan. I still am. I still love Dylan, but back then it didn't matter how old he was. You know what I mean? Like he sounded nothing like the original albums or whatever. How he sounded on the album because he sounded a little bit croaky. He had this kind of a voice, and he said he had that kind of, and he sounded very croaky and very kind of like this. But it was cool. It was cool. I mean, you can't help but be like, damn, it's Bob Dylan. He's right
Yeah,
there. You know what
that's
I
a hell
mean?
of a first show.
That was cool, man. That was my first like proper gig. Proper gig. The next one was I think Tribe Called Quest. That was really cool. I loved that when I went to Tribe Called Quest. That was in Sydney.
Oh, that was in Sydney. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. That was insane. And I
First
think
hip
I
hop concert?
that was like my first proper hip hop concert. Yeah, and that was just, dude. I mean, I was madly in love with their music. I still am. The Tribe. They're just so monumental, so inspiring, and yeah, I still love Low End Theory. I love all their albums. I love it all. But like to see them live was just like wow. And because I was living in Bosnia before that, it was just like wow, they're actually there. You know what I mean? Like I think that when you are in Sydney or in LA or where are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm in South Texas, close to Mexico.
Okay. So you're in okay, so do bands come through to
Oh, for
area?
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
often.
I met Mac DeMarco down here.
Nah, you met him.
Yeah, before he kind of like blew up. I
Mm,
think this was during his second album tour.
Two,
So this was
two.
like about
Yeah.
10 years ago or so.
Yeah, yeah. I saw him tour that same album. About my original point was that like when living in Bosnia, you don't really get the luxury of having people just come through, you know, because it's like it's not considered to be. I mean, it's off the beaten track, period.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have that kind of exposure. So like when I first saw Tribe Called Quest like in person, right there in the flesh, it was just like wow. I've listened to these guys so much, and they're right there. It's amazing. So it was cool.
I'm blanking out on his name, but was this before one of their MCs passed away, I believe?
Yeah, Fife.
Five. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was I believe a good 6 years before he passed away. Good six
Damn.
years, and it was the original trio.
Damn.
Shahid, um, Q-Tip, and Fife. It was just wild, and there was like 10,000 people at the gig. It was huge.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool.
Man, that's dope though that Dylan was your first one. He was actually the first vinyl I ever owned was
Yeah.
Another Side of Dylan.
Okay. Another side of Dylan. Is that like I don't know which album that is. Is that early early or is that?
Yeah, it's I mean I kind of want to take it out. I can show you. I have
Yeah,
my
show me.
this one right here.
Oh wow. Look at him. Wow, that's cool.
And this one I actually bought it at like a laundromat place
Yeah.
that my brother found it in Craigslist. Like I had just gotten my first record player
Mm-hmm.
and he was looking for like people that sell records and there was a guy there that had like a little section of records that he was selling at that laundry place. It was so random.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was that one along with Word of Mouth by the Kinks.
That's cool. That's cool.
So I've always had like a soft spot for those records because nostalgic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have the same thing, right? Don't we all have like a soft spot for those earlier albums that we adopted that entered our lives? Yeah, man. For me, for example, the Blue album by the Beatles. So it's a Beatles compilation. But basically that was like a oh dude, that was really cool. I went to this flea market, you know what I mean, where they just sold like this like crazy shanty flea market in Sarajevo in Bosnia, and they're just selling car parts. Everybody's selling. This is in the 2000s, and I found the Beatles Blue album. It's a compilation of like their greatest hits, and I'll be like, "Whoa, this is so cool." So I took that home, and I remember just I didn't even have a record player. You know what I mean? Just the idea that like, damn, I got a vinyl. This is cool. You know, and that was around the time when you had Jack White kind of spearheading the revival, if you will, of like records and getting back into records and getting yourself a gramophone and listening to music in that way. He was a big inspiration, and I remember that was that time. So that album for me has like a soft spot. Is a soft spot. Yeah.
Man, I didn't even know that. I honestly thought you were gonna say the Blue Album by Weezer.
I was gonna correct myself. Yeah, I was gonna correct myself. I haven't even given that album its due justice. You know what I mean? I haven't its due time. I'm sure it's an incredible record. Does that album have the song "Sweater Song"?
Yeah. Hmm.
That's a good song. That's a good song. There's some great songs. They got some great songs. Um, yeah.
But man, that's dope. I was also gonna say Dylan was like, I guess the first, uh, my first realization that you could be just a guy with an acoustic guitar and you could like make a career out of it.
Yeah,
Before
true.
that, I didn't know like that was like a possible thing.
Yeah, true. You know who I liked that you kind of perfectly described right there, but for the 2000s?
Hmm.
Yeah, Jack Johnson.
I I kind of, yeah, before I said who, I kind of thought that one. I don't know.
Did you? Did you actually?
No, for real. And I legit talked about him too with the guest I had like 2 episodes ago. We talked
Yeah.
about Jack Johnson.
Everybody loves Jack Johnson.
Yeah, he's
And let's
awesome.
he's so cool. He's a pro surfer, right? Um who turned into a professional musician, and he's a kick-ass guitarist and a kick-ass songwriter. And he's just incredible, and he's so chill. And how can you hate the guy?
I don't think I've ever met anyone that doesn't like him. He's like a man of the people.
He's a
He's
man of the people.
he's for the kids too.
Yeah.
I saw a video in my algorithm the other day. I was just scrolling, and it was him just chilling like at a, I want to say it was like a daycare or like an elementary. He's just playing songs and like kids are running around just
Oh
having
man,
fun.
that's beautiful. He has that great song, which is a kid's song, uh, "Upside Down."
Yep.
Who's to say
Yeah.
what's impossible? The way he sings as well, it's just so smooth and you know, just great. I love it. Every now and then, like there's room for his music. I really like his album "To the Sea." I like that one. That's a really good album. Yeah, In Between Dreams as well. I like
Yeah.
his stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with Jack Johnson, man, that's a great example of a dude that made it just with an acoustic and like, well, he has some songs with the full band as well, but
Yeah,
the I guess the entry level or like the start of his career was definitely just like acoustic driven.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry if I botched this,
You
but
did. How
what
dare you? I'm just kidding. I'm only joking. You're
was
doing good.
I'm gonna totally botch this now. Was Salah Loon the first band you played in?
How do you how do you know about that? Honestly, how do you know about that? Come
Wait,
on.
wait, before I answer though, was did I
Yeah,
did I did I pronounce it okay?
you did. Salah Loon. Yes. That was
Right.
ages ago. That was a little project that I was a part of. Dude, you really are Nadwa. I did one gig. I did two gigs. This is way back with one of my best friends, but this is back in the day, and it was that's crazy. That was ages ago, though. That's cool. Yeah,
How old were you?
and I was like 22. I'm 32 right now. I know, I know. I look, I look way younger. No, I'm just kidding. I look my age. I'm willing to admit that. I'm probably older. I don't even know. Don't really care, to be honest. How old are you?
I'm 30. I just
You're
turned 30.
30. Okay, cool.
Nah, I
As a
mean,
yeah,
90s kids, man.
90s kid. So you were born in 1994.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's cool.
91?
1991, end of 1991. Yeah, 90s kids, right? We experienced a lot. We really did, right? The ultimate transition. We were like the last generation that got to experience, how would you say, a childhood without invasive technology,
It's a great way to put it.
right? Without iPads and phones and whatnot.
Probably like the last somewhat simplistic generation
Yeah. Where you
before.
just like, where you just be outside. You know what I mean? You just be outside and whatnot and play N64, you know? That was cool.
um a little like timeline on your releases here. Wanted to start with Untitled 91 came
Sure.
out in December 1st, 2017,
Yeah.
via, is it Delicious Music?
Yeah, it was released via Nice Guys Records, but they are
Okay.
basically like a part of that main record
Yeah.
hub, Delicious Music, right? And they're a French label. They're based in Bordeaux in France. And yeah, that was cool. That was a really cool time in my life. I remember when that record came out, the day that it came out, and it was snowing. It was in Paris. I did some press in Paris, and I was with the label head of Nice Guys Records, Gautier, who's become a very good friend of mine. And we, it was just wild to be there and to be like, wow, this is like my first record. And here I am in the middle of Paris, and it was snowing so much. It was just wild. And I went for a little walk. Went for a little walk around the town, and it was just snowing. And I was just it's kind of sad in a way, you know? I remember when I put out that record, right? And I'm going to be real with you. I always knew that it was something. It's going to reach somebody, it's going to get out there somehow, you know? And only in the past few years has it like kind of slowly but surely developed this kind of cult following. And now I'm very blessed to have people from literally around the world hit me up and say, "Hey, I really like this music. I really like these songs," and they help me out. And there's nothing better. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Wait, so why was it a little sad on that day though?
I was just alone. You know what I mean? I was alone in Paris, and I was far from my friends and family.
Hmm.
You get me?
Yeah.
And just uncertainty, because you're just like, what the? It's like kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? When I say sad, it's just kind of like a melancholy, a nice
Uh,
kind of melancholy. And I look back on it kind of like with that and just, you know, seeing lovers on the street dancing drunk, you know what I mean? I'm just walking by myself and just like seeing people walking home and it's snowing heaps and just being like, well, we'll see how things go, you know?
okay.
It was
That's
kind of like
interesting
that.
though.
Yeah.
So shout out to Nice Guys because um I used to listen to music a lot on YouTube, and what I like to do is browse channels that are live, but
Yeah, yeah,
they're just broadcasting. It's kind of like a YouTube radio station in a way. They're just broadcasting uh all these tracks that
yeah,
are affiliated with their label. And so I came
yeah.
across their channel and pretty sure they had you on there too. This was a while back, maybe like 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, okay. So from back in the day,
I'm not even sure they still have that.
I think they do.
Oh, okay.
I think they do. It's the 24-hour kind of radio, and they just they stream music from their catalog of all the different artists. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's cool, isn't it? When you think
Hmm.
about it, it's a cool technique. You know, and just getting people to kind of and building a community. Yeah, for sure.
But I know for sure went down the rabbit hole of your stuff because of my Spotify.
Yeah.
It would always it would always show Untitled, the artwork on there, like, oh, recommended for you, discover. And so I finally said, hey, this guy looks like me. Let's go for it. And it all
It's
started
true.
from there.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That first record, that first record, I wrote it. I was just lost. I was lost in life. You know what I mean? Just kind of not knowing. I spent the years prior just kind of like testing the waters. You know what I mean? Every now and then putting a song on YouTube, seeing what that's like, and just seeing what people think. Kind of kept it to myself, and just like meeting up with different producers and seeing like how they did their thing, you know. And then I looked at what they were doing. I was like, okay, okay, cool, all right, all right. I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna do this. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna kind of do it my own way, you know. And I like that. I like having the control of doing it my own way, you know, like doing it all from home.
Did you do all the instruments on it, or did you have some other players on it?
No, I did everything. I did everything, but like a lot of the drums are like sampled. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And but everything else like I did. Yeah.
damn. And I also wanted to mention like a coincidence I saw because you have a song called "Nice Guy," and then you're affiliated with the label. I thought, is there like a connection there? Or it
I
just
believe.
happened.
Well, I believe that my accent went a little bit. I believe. Um, sorry, I believe they were inspired by that song, if I recall correctly.
Oh
And they were,
wow.
yeah, 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 yeah. Because they were initially when we met in 2017, they kind of came. They proposed this idea of like them wanting to start this label under Delicious Music as Nice Guys Records, and I believe they hinted at that being kind of inspired by the song Nice Guy. I may be incorrect, I'm not sure, but I do believe that is the origin of the name, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, damn, I'm a believer now. Let's go with it.
Let's go with it. Why not? Yes, right. I do this a lot. By the way, I change voices from time to time. You're getting to really understand who I am behind the music. Yes,
A
quite.
man of many voices.
Yes, yes. In his head. Lots of voices in my head. I've always been good at doing voices. Always. Always, man.
I I've only been like a little okay at doing Kermit, and
Okay.
sometimes I can pull off Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Can you
Sometimes.
can you do that? Can you do Arnold? I want to. You got to do it because you mentioned it right now. So you're going to have to. You're gonna have to do it right now.
Oh shit. I
That's good. That's good. Keep going.
just grunting. I
It-
I I I was governor of California.
That's good. That's good. Can I try? Can I try it? Is that all right?
Go for it.
Let go of me. Let's go. Get down. You know, the like do you remember Pablo Francisco? Do you remember
Dude,
the kid?
I saw him live.
Bro, I saw him live as well. Dude, I saw him live as well. My sister got me a ticket to stand up like years ago, like 10 years ago. And he did the whole little tortilla boy. You know, remember that? Remember that one?
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
Classic.
yeah. The classic. But his Arnold was underrated as well. I get down, there's a bomb. I let go of me. That was like, yeah, and then the bumblebee when Arnold was doing narrating National Geographic
Hmm.
and the bumblebee some he wants something from the flower because he's hungry for he's very hungry, he's yummy in his tummy, so he goes into the flower. But oh no, there's a spider. And he gets the spider, let go of me, and the bumblebee's flying away. Get down. I was so into that. I was so into it.
Spot on, dude. Fucking
Thank you. Thank you.
amazing.
Thank
I
you.
actually I have his little ticket stub on my wall
Yeah.
there.
Hell yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah.
I was getting
Yeah.
like flashbacks of his comedy just now.
That was a good time. That was a good time.
Fucking shout out to Pablo, man. I really
Shout out
hope
to Pablo.
he's doing well. I know he was a little off the rails for a bit.
He went a little bit off the rails. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to him.
So I mean, I have a lot of standouts from your album, but just to kind of to shorten it, really enjoyed Derby Days,
Nice. Thank you.
Dick Daisy,
Thank you.
Easy, and this next one, before I mention it, I wanted to ask, do you like Unknown Mortal Orchestra?
I've only heard a little bit of his music. Um, I've heard a little bit of his music. Yeah, I like from what I've heard. Yeah, it sounds good.
So the reason I ask is because Balkan Boy,
Uh,
it sounds, the intro riff sounds a little bit like one of their songs called Necessary Evil. I'll send you a link,
I think
but
I've heard that. I think I've heard that track. I think I've heard.
sounds,
I think that's like one of their more popular songs. Yeah,
yep.
yeah. I'll give it a listen again. I can't recall it right now, but yeah, I'll give it a listen for sure. But I love Honeybee. I love that
Oh
song.
yeah.
That's a classic. But yeah. Derby Days. So you like Derby Days?
Is that in is it kind of like I don't know what's the word for it, but like it's a play on word for days.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. It's just like day. It's like the day of the Derby, you know. So Derby, I'm not sure in America if there is this kind of day, if you will, but it's in Europe when there's a football match of like two prominent football teams in a city. It's called a derby, right? And it was inspired by in Bosnia over there. Football hooliganism is a big thing still. Um, and it was inspired by just the football hooligan kind of culture that I saw that I never really partook in, but I would just witness that I saw from the sidelines. You know,
Great. So yeah, I had a feeling it had um something to do with that, with like, watching football.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the song was kind of inspired by a lot of the political angst that is attached to football hooliganism in the
Mhm.
Balkans. You know, that's what it's inspired by. That's why maybe you've seen the video. I did like a little compilation this little video on YouTube of have you seen it?
I don't think so. I did see the one for Untitled though, and I saw that you mentioned that it was some footage that your father recorded back in the day.
Yeah. So my father recorded the footage that you see, the grainy footage that you see in the background. Um my father was in Bosnia. I think it was the tail end of the war. And when the war was over, I think I can't remember exactly when, but like basically he was there. He was visiting his parents, and he just filmed the destruction of Bosnia. And I remember seeing that footage of he was in a bus. He was in a bus going through Bosnia, and just seeing pretty much every house was completely bombed, completely destroyed, snow. And I wrote Untitled 91 like a few months prior to this idea, and I thought that would be cool to kind of do that. You know what I mean? Because it has something to do with the song. Because the song itself is an anti-war song. You know,
Oh.
the first half of that song is about me living in Bosnia after the war, right, and just getting used to living in a new environment that is going through post-war struggle.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And just having to get adjusted to a country that is only recently getting adjusted to its new kind of statehood, you know, that. And then the second half is about, you know, refugees, you know, Bosnian refugees. And so that's that whole thing, you know. My background being Bosnian has had a massive impact on my art and my music and me as a person. And it's this well of inspiration, and I guess collective pain, you know? Because what my people went through, I don't mind if I you don't mind if I go down this path. Living in a country that at the time and still is to a degree is recovering from genocide and war and ethnic cleansing and identity, you know, had a massive impact on me. And I try my best to respect it, you know, to respect that, the history of it all. Because if you're Bosnian, every single person that you know, in one way or another, was impacted by the war. Now, I wasn't there during the war, but I lived in Bosnia 10 years after the war, and it wasn't uncommon to see, for example, it still is not uncommon in my area for every in Sarajevo for pretty much most buildings to be covered in bullet holes. You know what I mean? When I was living there in my teen years, it was quite common to come across minefields. So where there are landmines, you know, because a lot of the country was contaminated with landmines. Even when I was 16, I came across unexploded ordnance, you know. So like basically like bombs that were left from the war. This is up in the mountains. Uh and so for example, when I see what's going on right now in Palestine, what's going on in Gaza, I feel it's if I ever do say anything about it, which I from time to time do on social media, it's just out of pure frustration. You know what I mean? Pure frustration because I can't imagine what it's like to go through that kind of hell. but I see what that did to my people, you know? I see what that did to my people, and then I see how people are afraid to talk about it. And just the abandonment that the people of Gaza are facing right now. I feel compelled as an artist to say something, to say free Palestine, to be okay with saying it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are afraid to say it.
No, yeah, man. It's it's really crazy how that stuff is going on, and like you said, it kind of mirrors your background a little bit. But I do think that there is a large amount of people that do share that voice and
For
speaking
sure.
out for it, which is great.
True.
You know, we need
It is
more people like that.
for sure. I think that there's more and more artists that are willing to say something about it. And even seeing, for example, King Cruel, I think it was at Glastonbury, he like openly expressed his support for Palestine. And I think that anybody that expresses this support for it, they're not doing it because they're like nationalists. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm just no, they say free Palestine because they want to see an end to suffering. They want to see an end to genocide. They want to see an end to ethnic cleansing, that's been going on for so long. You and I feel as a Bosnian, it's partially my duty to bring it up, to talk about it, because like I sang about it in some of my songs. I openly referenced what was going on in Bosnia in one way or another, and I do. I don't hide that. I don't hide that.
Wanted to kind of piggyback on what you said earlier about the the intro to Untitled 91,
Sure.
how the first half is, about you and the later half about refugees. I wanted to say like um I've often talked about this with other guests because some of the songs that they have are upbeat, but the lyrics are a little dark. And so this one is a great example of like that juxtaposition, how
Yeah.
like the tune sounds like funky and makes you want to dance, but
Yeah.
if you read into it, it's like this is a pretty pretty wild story
Yeah.
that you're telling.
Well, that just came naturally. I don't know what it was. Um, but it just came naturally to me, and I was just dealing, I think, with that first record, man, and that song particularly. It was just a way to kind of like make sense of my years in Bosnia. You know what I mean? And just kind of like looking back and being like, okay, what the reflecting and just trying to figure out like how do I get this on paper? You know
Makes
what I
sense
mean?
of it all.
How to make sense of it. And the interesting thing, I could have done very sad music and been like, oh, what was me? But I chose to do it in a kind of just a different way, And maybe in that way, people are more inclined to really hear. Sometimes they really tune into what's going on, because like, yeah, you kind of catch them by surprise. I like that. I like that little surprise effect. But yeah, that album for me was just kind of dealing with like what I grew up with. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in Sydney suburbia, right? Typical suburbia, not unlike suburbia you'd see in America. And then all of a sudden, I'm in Eastern Europe, you know, and it's like communist housing blocks, massive blocks, buildings with graffiti covered everywhere at the bottom of the buildings, and just bullet holes everywhere, and
Shit.
bullet holes from sniper fire. And you see bullet holes on the ground, on the streets. And you're just like, holy shit. Because the city, Sarajevo, went through 1,425 days of siege. It was under siege for that long. And it was bombed round the clock. Damn near every building sustained damage or was completely destroyed. you know. So the people suffered tremendously. So I found it my duty to it's my duty to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know about what happened, and it's okay. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know about a lot of conflicts and a lot of sad things that have happened in the world, and it's a normal thing. But that's why we're here. That's why we talk. That's why we sing about it. You know, art is a great way to kind of to talk about truths. You
Mhm.
know, to relay a truth that may be uncomfortable to talk about. So art can be a way. A song can be a great way of talking about something that's really painful. You know, and sometimes like you find yourself when you're writing, well, at least when me, the real me comes out. You know what I mean? Can't help it. He sneaks out and he's just like, I'm here. It's like, how the hell did you get here? I was trying to be somebody else, and here you are about. But I'm still learning, man. I'm still learning how to be an artist. I'm still learning how to be okay. I'm still learning how to be okay with saying, I'm a musician. I'm an artist. This is what I do. This is what people know me for. Because the world will do everything in its power to tell you otherwise. You know, sadly, people. When I say the world, people in your life. You're not that. What are you talking about? You can't say that. Who are you? Yeah, who do you think you are? You think call yourself a musician? You call yourself. As soon as you hear these people, you need to just be like, "You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna find myself." You know what I mean?
He'd be like, "Shut up, boomer."
Yeah, there is that kind of yeah. I legit, bro. I legit had a boomer taxi driver. God bless him. You know, he's struggling. You know what I mean? And I respect his hustle and like it would have been tough. But this is a couple years. This is 10 to 12 years ago. This is 12 years ago, bro. And like when I was like 18, and he's just like, this is in Bosnia. He's like, so kid, what do you want to do with your life now? I'm just like, well, I don't know, you know. He says, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 18. He's just like, so what are you gonna do? And I'm like, well, you know, I want to be a musician. I want to, you know, I want to make it in the big time, you know. And he's just like, what? You want to be a musician? Let me tell you something. That's a stupid idea. Okay, don't be stupid. You need to study law. You need to study economy. You need to become doctor. You're not going to be bloody musician. Who are you? What is this? You're going to, and I was just like, listen, but this is what I want to do. I don't want to. He's like, don't be stupid. Okay. And I had people like, I'll never forget that guy. And that entered my brain a little bit. You know what I mean? That entered my brain. And I had to like learn how to be like, dude, no. And there's many people like that. God bless him. You know what I mean? But he didn't really do me any favors by shitting on my dreams in that fashion. You
Mhm.
know,
Damn, man. What's your native language called?
Bosnian.
Bosnian. So you do kind of like a combination of English and Bosnian and some songs, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I've done that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So reason I mention this is because I dabble with music too, and when I was born here, I actually would talk primarily Spanish. I mean, I
Yeah.
that's all I talked, and then I I joke about this with people, and it's funny, but it's kind of true though. I tell them, yeah, I actually knew hardcore Spanish up until I got like whitewashed here because of the educational system,
Yeah, damn.
and I lost touch with my native tongue for so long. Even now at my job, it's funny because like growing up, I felt dumb for not knowing English that well, but now in my job, it's primarily people from Mexico coming to visit,
Yeah.
and I feel dumb now when I don't speak Spanish so fluently with them. I even have to like sometimes Google translate my own native language because I'm like, what the hell did they just say?
Yeah, it's an insecure. You feel insecure. Yeah,
Yes.
I struggle a lot with language in general. If I can say, every immigrant kid, right? Or a child of immigrants or immigrant, deals with this struggle of like, man, like, yeah, I dealt with it in a big way, but for me it was reverse in a way because I moved back to Bosnia. My family moved back to Bosnia, so like for me it was like I knew English. Don't get me wrong, I knew Bosnian as a kid because my parents, they're immigrants, Bosnian immigrants to Australia. So then when we moved back, it was quite difficult because like I'm all of a sudden in a country where you need to know how to speak Bosnian. Like this is the 2000s. It was a bit of a different time. People, yeah, generally spoke English, but like not as good as not. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, more people speak English in general, and they speak it better. Um, but that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot. Like kind of my parents kind of threw me into the wolves, and so I had to learn in my own way. And mainly it was just through friends, and on the street and hanging out with people. And like I kind of learned like street Bosnian, if you will, the more informal way of speaking, than like you know, than the kind of formal, kind of grammatically correct. That's kind of how I learned. And to this day, like I struggle with both languages, because I feel like those of us who grew up bilingual, right? We had to juggle both languages, right? And so then we didn't get to develop one of them fully.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Hell yeah. Mhm.
And so that's something that I dealt with for sure. That's something that I dealt with.
The reason I bring it up too is because I've written some songs that are Spanglish,
Yeah.
like they'll be half in English and then they'll end in Spanish,
Which is so cool.
and then some songs too that try to challenge myself and try to do it all in Spanish, which is just a handful, not too many, but still proud of them because I'm like, shit, I pull it off, and like I said, I'm not the most fluent guy at it, but um, for some reason, I'll always feel like Spanish just sounds a little more romantic
It
than
does.
English.
It
Way cooler too.
does. It just sounds so much more musical. And Bosnian is somewhat similar in some ways. That it's like in language wise, it's very we have lots of words that end with ah, you know, kind of like Spanish. Ah, with vowels, We end with lots of whereas like English is a very Western Europe language naturally. It's where it originates from. And it's it's very it can you know what I mean? Do you get what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of like that.
And like you said earlier in the interview, like sometimes I'll say, some words and like I have like an accent to it. I'm like, oh shit, it's just creeping on there naturally.
Yeah, yeah. Happens to me all the time. And I mix accents all the time. Because I when I lived in Bosnia, I lost my original Australian accent. I lost it, because I was there for so long. So, but like before that, I used to sound like a typical, g'day mate, how's it going? You not too bad yourself? Yeah, that kind of, g'day, g'day, how's it going? Yeah, fair income, mate. Yeah, not too bad yourself. And whenever I go back to Australia, I kind of bring it back. You know what I mean? Naturally comes back to me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so in that kind of way, it's I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but it's kind of like that. Where now, bro, like I live here in Scotland, and you wouldn't believe it, but sometimes people think that I'm American, just the way I talk. But to an American, naturally they're gonna be like, no, he doesn't sound anything like us. No, he doesn't sound
I
anything.
mean, who cares?
Who cares? It is what it is.
I have a couple questions on Care to Share.
Sure.
I saw it was released in June 10th, 2022.
Yeah.
I was curious. Was it originally going to be titled Agent of Change?
Yeah, it was, and then I changed that because I just realized it just sounds like some James Bondy kind of. It's giving James Bond. I was just like, this ain't right. It ain't right. It ain't tight. It ain't gonna fit. Get rid of it.
Was also wondering, Oh My World was going to be the opener.
Ooh. You know what's crazy? I can't say it right now. I can't say it because if
Oh,
I
okay.
say too much, everything's gonna it's gonna spoil it all. That song is something I'm working on right now, and I literally got back into working on it like 2 days ago. So it's interesting that you mentioned that song, and good on you for doing your research, by the way. Uh, you're very dedicated.
Are you able to answer the reason behind it getting cut?
If I recall correctly, I felt like I was making it way too. I'm making it now. Now I'm answering. Okay, so who cares? Screw it. I was biting off more than I could chew. I was trying to do like a Beach Boys kind of song, right? I was trying to make it heaps Beach Boysy. Did you hear the little snippet on? Yeah, did you? Yeah. So I wanted it to be like, wouldn't it be that kind of vibe? You know what I mean? I wanted it to be like, and I was getting a little bit too Brian Wilson, if you will. So I needed to drop it. I was just like, this ain't it. And I just kind of like was like, you know what? Let it cook. Let it stay there. Let it cook. Let it be. Let it stay there. Let's see what we can do with it. And we'll come back to it. And hopefully we can bring it back. And it's great. It sounds great right now. I sound like The Rock right now. Don't I sound like
Yeah, you
the
did.
do I sound like, let it cook. Let's see what we can do. If you smell what the rock is cooking. I'm sorry. I can't help it, man. It's just funny. It's funny to me.
Oh my gosh.
Let it cook. And so what I did with it, Christian, what I did with it was I let it be for a little while and I decided, you know what? We're gonna revive it. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna see if things are gonna be good. It's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna love it. And hopefully, I don't know. We'll see how things go, man. We'll see how things see how things go. I've decided to kind of reattempt it. So I'm reviving it now because it's cool. It's a cool song.
Last two questions before we do the list. Stop, Revive, and Survive. Was
Mm.
that a Brothers song to Nice Guy?
Yes. That was kind of like a brother song. I figured at the time because like sound wise, it's kind of a brother song to Nice Guy. But now I have a sister song to Nice Guy that I'm working on currently. It's
You're
a
keeping
sister
it in the
song.
family.
I'm keeping it in the family.
Hey, did you ever do the What the Heck Hector podcast?
I never I never got to do it, and I never got to do it, man. I wanted to, but I just didn't have the didn't have the time. I didn't have the time, and I didn't have the kind of the luxury of time because music was already so much to just deal with right now. But I think that I would have a great time doing a podcast. I think I'd be, I think I'd have lots of fun talking.
Uh, we're doing one now.
We're doing one right now, right? We're doing one. This is my first one. This is my very first podcast. It's great. So thank you very much.
It's a fucking honor, man.
God bless you. It's an honor. The honor is the privilege and the pleasure is all mine, my good friend.
Dude, I'm honestly surprised you haven't you know, dabbled in comedy a bit. You certainly got the energy and the voices for it.
You think so?
Yeah. If you're not if you're not aiming for like the stand up route, there's always I like voiceover acting and stuff
There
like that.
is. There is. I mean, but that's also getting, eaten up by AI. You know what I mean? So
Uh,
that's a bit of a worry. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a bit of a worry right there. Oh no, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one right there.
But for this list, I'm starting it off number 10, Round Trip.
Number 10, Round Trip. So, Marcoka is a great German band, surf, psychedelic, rock, indie kind of stuff. Great stuff. They hit me up. So we did a collaboration, Round Trip, beautiful song. And we just had a great time recording that. And Marco, he sent me, he's the singer of the band. He sent me the instrumental. I fell in love with it. Thought it was beautiful. And yeah, that was how it kind of came about. And it's just a song about you doing you. You know what I mean? And how you shouldn't forsake yourself, your true self, your true identity, and your wants, your dreams, your desires.
Solid answer.
Thank you.
Number 9, I went with Better.
Better. That riff, better, was me trying to do kind of like, do you know Footsteps in the Dark by the Isley Brothers?
I don't know.
Oh man, I was trying to do like that riff. I was trying to do something similar. Not exactly, obviously not, but something similar. Or like a riff that sounded similar to like Craig David, 7 Days. You know, do
I'll
you know
check them
that
out.
song? You need to
I'll check.
check out both of those songs. Seriously, they're both great
So
songs.
you were trying to do your best impression of the songs, or kind of
Uh,
inspired by them?
I was just inspired by them, both of the riffs in those kind of songs. I was just like, man, I'd love to like write something really melodic like that and kind of R&B but sad. And initially it sounded more R&B. I think the end result was way more just psych rock, psych indie pop rock kind of vibe. But initially it was more inspired by like the Isley Brothers.
Gotcha. Number 8, uh, number 8, Rocco's Slippin'.
The title of Rocco Slippin' is just it's basically Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. That's what it's inspired by. Yeah.
Cool
And the
fact.
lyrics and the lyrics are inspired by come on man, I think it's time that you let go. Nothing really to hold on to anyway. That was inspired by a quote I believe from Alan Watts, who said that you have to let go because there's nothing really to hold on to, you know. So that's a little esoteric
Yeah,
tidbit for you.
I'm sorry. I'm looking around right now because I'm actually reading Alan Watts right
Are
now.
you actually?
Hey, it's right here.
Damn, which book? Oh, hell yeah. How is that?
I'm a few pages in, but it's already crazy stuff. It's like
So good, isn't he?
it's very introspective,
Yeah.
like how to how to navigate through life without like it's bullshit, like complications.
Yeah. I would highly recommend you also reading The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. That book is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And he helped me out a lot and helped me, sorry, navigate through life in some of the most uncertain times, you know? And he has been just a great voice of reason, you know, in some of the darkest times of my life. And so, yeah, I that song was heavily inspired by Alan Watts. Just learning to let go. There's nothing to hold on to. Everything is gonna go. So it's okay. You can let go as well. And just enjoy. Relax. You know?
Let it slip.
Yeah, let it slip. He's slipping. Oh no, I'm gonna let go. That kind of vibe. You know what I mean? It's Rocco. Do you remember Rocco's Modern Life?
Yeah, yeah.
Rocco's Modern Life. And he was always just a nervous wreck, that little kangaroo, right? He's always a nervous wreck.
90s kids will remember.
Yeah, man. Core 90s.
Number 7, I went with Electric Company.
Electric Company. Ooh. Man, I really battled with that song. I really battled with that song, just like trying to bring it to life. Um, Heavily inspired. I just wanted a bass line that would just like fuck you. You know what I mean? This is this. I just wanted just a real fuck you bass line. And it was very inspired by Michael Jackson. Yeah, I gotta say. By like beat it. Bow, da, bow, da, bow, da, bow, da, bow, bow. And also a little bit of like feel good ink. Kind of mix those two. I was just like, I need to
Oh
come up with
shit.
something, put those two together and go da da. That kind of vibe.
Number six, I went with really something.
Really something. Really something is a love song, and it's about the love of my life, you know? And that's what it's about. That's what it's always been about. But it's really beautiful. It's really something to see other people, tell me that it's impacted them in some kind of way, in their romantic life. And yeah, it's just about that. It's about somebody that's really something.
Number five, Forever in Betweeners.
Forever in betweeners. That song is just about the pressure of kind of because I wrote that song in my late 20s. Um just the pressure and the fear of like being like an adult, you know what I mean? Of like, holy crap, here we go. Is this it? Is this it? And you're getting a bit older, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, I'm pushing 30. It's not looking as cool as it did before. The kind of like, yeah, I don't have my shit together, but it's okay because, dude, whatever, dude. I'm 21. Who gives a damn? I'll figure it out. When later on in life, it's a bit harder to kind of pull off that kind of look. That's just kind of it's kind of dealing with that. But then realizing in the chorus, funny, I don't usually think of it that much. Perspective is truly the finishing touch. And just kind of like something that I always kind of carry with me, a little tool that like perspective is something. It's a skill, it's a tool, and that you need to utilize in every day, everyday struggle when things are getting a little bit too overbearing. It's good to like step back and look and be like, okay, maybe you need to look at this from this angle. All right, you need to let it go a little bit, go this way, and then now we can look at it. Okay, it's not that bad. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and that I feel it gets a little, well, it should get a little easier as you get older.
Sure, sure. You'd hope.
Yeah,
You'd
for
hope
some. Yeah,
for some. And Alan Watts, man, helped me out, and he still helps me out in that kind of way. That whole being able to look at things in a different way. I think it's a tremendous. I hate using that word now because like that guy ruined it. The Orange Man ruined it. You know what? You can't use that word. Because tremendous is a great word,
yeah,
but
yeah.
every time I say tremendous and then it comes out a little bit tremendous, like it tremendous, like it just ruins it. But really, yeah, I just fucking butchered that right there. Keep going.
Number four, Untitled 91.
Untitled 91. What do I think? What's my memory?
Or how about something that, yeah, like not many people might know about that one, like a behind the scenes thing.
Sure. Sure. I hmm. I wrote that song in like 2 days. I wrote that whole song, recorded everything within 2 days. Just came to me with the music, all of it in one day, then the lyrics the next day. And it just fit. It just fit. I was just like, damn, this is good. I remember when I wrote that song and I just started dancing to it in my room. Dun, dun, I was like, damn, this is good. And it was just, yeah, it was like a little eureka moment. And there's something interesting about that when sometimes like some of the best stuff that I personally feel that I could come up with comes real quickly. You know what I mean? And I could just do it within a day or two. But then there's this stuff that like I really put all my time and energy in and I overthink, you know what I mean? And and then it's not as impactful. You know, you'd be surprised how many times that works out that kind of way. Yeah.
I guess it's because of the spontaneity of it. Like, where the hell did that come from? And like, oh wow, it's it seems so easy and natural. That's why it's I guess a little more rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. And it was so easy. It was just very easy place to write from. And I think that I wrote it in an easy way because I just didn't have that much pressure. I just felt like, man, I can sing whatever I want, you know? Whereas like nowadays it's a little bit you have to be a bit more. You don't have to be. You shouldn't censor yourself, you know? You shouldn't censor yourself. Sometimes you do because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You don't want to, but you should still the message, whatever it is, that original message, that calling that comes with inspiration from a song that you wrote, that needs to remain intact, with that song, it was just pure. Just 2 days, I remember, and just being like, damn, I haven't really written anything like that, And I liked that. It was really fun. It was one of the funnest songs I've ever recorded. Just fun, you know?
I feel like those type of songs that capture those moments in time that's just fun, that energy kind of resonates to the listener. That's why they latch onto it and they're like, oh shit, this rules, because maybe um yeah, they're kind of like they're teleported to like this time of excitement that's like, whoa, this is exciting, and like I need more of this.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing because it's like I think that that excitement it could be the authenticity
Yes,
of like
sir.
just it's just something real that you're capturing and other people can sense that or that realness through yeah through the song, which is I don't know, I believe in that kind of stuff, I really do. There's just some songs that just capture that vibe, you know.
People are always going to gravitate towards other people that believe in themselves and truly believe in what they're doing. So I think that also plays along to it. And that's why you got a great following, is because people come across your music and they're like, this dude is, like you said, he's being authentic and true to himself, not censoring. So they're gonna they're gonna keep coming back for more.
Yeah, I mean it's just about keeping that alive, right?
Mhm.
And reminding yourself like why you do anything in the first place, you know. And the first initial thing is just like you do it for you, you right? Because it's you like to do it. Like recently, sorry to go on this tangent, but like recently, I've just been drawing a lot because when I was a kid, I used to love drawing. Right? We all did, right? But I really loved drawing, and I've just been doing that as a little practice of kind of like the music doesn't have to be the only thing you kind of let out that creative energy.
Itch. Yeah.
That itch, bravo, bravo, that itch. Sometimes you can just do it in other ways, ways that it's just for yourself, just to kind of let it out there, let it out there. It doesn't even have to just be drawing; it can be just writing,
Mhm.
writing whatever the hell it is that's on your mind. Get it out there, clear your head, you know, and then maybe who knows, you come up with some real gems, you know.
Hell yeah. Number three, I went with 7:45.
7:45. That's a song just about love. Love song, beautiful song, long distance love. Kind of, inspired by my story. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it just sounds nice, 7:45, you know?
And is there any connection for that particular for those particular numbers?
No, it just sounded good. But there's that 50 Cent lyric. That he says 7:45. I just want you in 7:45.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You remember? You know the song, "Girl, you seem to love me
yeah.
now, but you still have love for me." That song is so good. 21
Yeah,
Questions, right?
yeah, yeah.
And I think that song stuck in my head, bro, since I was like 11. And I was at 7:45. The 7:45. Yeah, that's basically it.
Did you ever listen to that song of his, Hate It or Love It? It's another banger.
God, man, the sampling. Sorry, the sampling on that track is just next level. You know which other beat that I really like from 50 Cent song is Hustler's Ambition.
I don't think I've heard that.
Like the fire that needs the air. I won't burn unless you're there. You're there. Ooh, I need you. It's such a good song. You got to hear that. Sample from this 70s band called Maze. And it's from this like beautiful, like, I don't know how long, really long kind of prog psychedelic soul song called I Need You. And just the riff in that is just next level. I'm super inspired guitar wise by like lots of R&B music, lots of 70s R&B music.
Number two, I went with "Tell Me I'm Here."
Tell Me I'm Here is just it's just about my own personal struggle with mental health, really, and learning to really my struggle with anxiety and learning to embrace the moment, learning to embrace the present moment, and how I have a tendency to kind of look back. I think a lot of us do. We'll kind of we can either look back and we cringe or we, whatever, or that we look forward and worry and we entertain negative thoughts. And it's just about recognizing that ultimately this is all you have, this moment right here, right now, that we are engaging in, you know? It's beautiful, right?
That's deep as hell, man. After you saying that, I'm gonna probably listen to that when I'm feeling anxious.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Yeah, it's really about that because we have such a, I guess, obsessive compulsive um generation, Gen Z and millennials particularly, and we're constantly looking back, we're constantly looking forward. I mean, this is just this has plagued humanity for ages, right? And the name of the song was inspired by a book by the name of Tell Me I'm Here. And I believe that the book I didn't read it, but I just liked the title of it. And the book is written by a mother. I believe her son was dealing with was battling with sorry, I don't know how to put it, schizophrenia, and just the struggle that comes with that. And I really like the title, Tell Me I'm Here. I want to read the book. It's an Australian book, and I just thought that was really cool. I don't quote me, because it might not be exactly about that, but I really liked that title. And at the time, I was dealing with a lot of mental health struggles. It's important to be open about this kind of stuff, but at the same time, it's so hard, right? Particularly for men, sadly, because we have to kind of be stoic and strong, and particularly
Yeah,
in Bosnian culture. I'm going to be real. Men have to be nah nah nah. You don't show that you're weak. You don't show, but that's not a weakness. It's not. Vulnerability is takes takes courage to be vulnerable, to be yourself, to be real. It takes a tremendous amount of courage, and emotional intelligence to be yourself in front of somebody else, regardless of what they may think of you. you know?
Very well said, man. I mean, this is a hell of an interview. Probably one of the uh, most informative ones too. I'd say
You reckon?
for sure, dude. I'm gonna tell the girl later. I'm like, you won't believe this shit.
Yeah. It's been fun, bro. It's fun. Like, cause this is random as hell. Just like between you and me, like you hit me up and I was just like, I'm going on holiday. Like you hit me up a few weeks before I left for holiday.
Yeah,
And I was just like, okay, you know what? Why not? And then I saw that you did an interview with I think Travis Bretzer, right?
yeah,
Which was
yeah.
cool. Which is so cool. Like I remember listening to one of his albums. And just dude, like he's so good. He's so good. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's doing really well.
He was actually the first one I ever did.
That's cool. Did you just hit him up?
Yeah, yeah. Just like you, was listening to his stuff for a couple weeks and was loving it, and just if it felt like nerve wracking, kind of like DMing a crush or something. It's just like, hey man, I shot my shot, and
Yeah.
he went for it, and I was
That's
like, oh
mad.
shit, he actually said yes. I actually got to do it now.
That's cool. And that was like your first interview, right?
Yeah, through Zoom. I've interviewed people in person before when I was younger, but his was the first one, in this format. And
But you see, like, sorry if I can, like, you hit me up random, you know what I mean?
on
And
the
like,
other sides of the world,
yeah, basically. And here we are talking. We've been talking for what, like a good couple hours. I mean, you just gotta, you never know. You never know. You won't know until you knock. You know, you go, yo, what's going on? You know, is it cool if you'd like to do this with me and and let's see how things go. That's that's the thing with it's always you have to think of it. It's not one day. It's no, it's not day one. Wait. What did The Rock say? That cheesy quote of his. He's like, it's not about one day. It's about day one. I wake up so early. I woke up yesterday. Anyways, bro, let's keep let's keep going. Let's keep going. It's true, bro. He always says weird stuff like that. I woke up so early. Yeah, man. Yeah.
oh man, dude, I could honestly listen to a fucking like a good hour of your impressions, man. They're that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Hey, speaking of right, my number one is "You're Right."
Oh, really? Nice. Nice. You're right. What's something about that song? That's such a like song that like nobody I mean, I've had a few people tell me that they like, of course, but like it's just beautiful. You know what I mean? It's a lovey-dovey number as well. Just pure sunshine, goodness. I love you. You love me. Wherever you go, I go. Corazón del mundo. Just like it's nice. It's happy. It's positive. I just had fun. I just wanted to let my cuteness come out in that song. Not be afraid and kind of let my guard down. I think with that song, I was just like, screw it. I'm gonna be just cute and lovey-dovey and simple. Not nothing too complicated. And I think that a lot of times, with me personally, I won't say for anybody else. But I have this tendency to be like, this is gonna be the greatest song of all time, and people are gonna fully understand how deep I am. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, let's talk about like the economy or something. And like, you know what I mean? Like you get what I mean, bro? Let's talk about something real. And that kind of whenever I do that, whenever I try to do something like that, it's just like it's just meh. So that was that. That was that.
Going back to basics.
Going back to basics, keep it simple, bro. Keep it happy, keep it light.
Hey, and I mean, you said it just now that "Corazón del Mundo" song. I mean, part
Ah,
is Spanish.
yeah, it
It's
is Spanish. Yeah.
it's got me thinking like, whoa, you you know a few phrases in Spanish, I'm guessing.
A little bit, a little bit. As I said before, it's a beautiful, beautiful language, and I've actually had quite a few people message me and think that they think, and it's cool. They think I'm Mexican, because Hector's a very common name in Mexico, and I take that as a massive compliment. Would love to go to Mexico, honestly, and I I I don't know, just the amount of people, the amount of love out there, the amount of passion and dedication that people Mexicans have for music is just next level. It's just next level. And for indie music, yeah, experimental music, it's just really cool. You don't really see that in a lot of countries. Mexico is one of those countries that like people go fucking nuts for music, and it's amazing.
Yeah. My final question is: have you ever been to the States?
No, but I'd love to. I'd love to come. And I'm thinking about it. Definitely. I want to tour. I want to tour the States.
If you ever find yourself in Texas, man, I definitely will try to go wherever wherever you're playing at.
Thank you, man. Please, please. Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah. We should, yeah. We'll link up. We'll link up from now on, you know. And if you're ever in Bosnia, if you ever I doubt that you'll ever be in Bosnia, but if you ever are, bro, why not? I mean, come around. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful, beautiful country, man. Underrated. It's right next to Croatia. And you got the coast right there as well. So if you ever find yourself in Europe and you want to go a little bit, off the typical touristic kind of, path, go to Bosnia. You'd love it.
Hell yeah. Hey, so um yeah, just to wrap this up, this amazing interview, any parting messages you like to say, or maybe some advice to your listeners?
To have courage, to have courage to be themselves and that, to trust that which is within each and every single one of us. Courage is a virtue, you know, that it's a skill, that it's something that is worth exhibiting. Courage is something worth trying. And you never know where it can take you. You never know. You never know where you'll end up if you just have a little bit of faith in yourself and courage to go out there and trust. Trust yourself, trust the universe, and who knows what could happen. I mean, we're here, right? Who would have thought this would all happen? But we're here. So trust that. If we can trust this moment, trust yourself as well. That's all I can really say. Trust yourself. Courage, courage, people. I don't know.
Trust in your courage.
Trust in your courage. Yeah. Honor yourself by exhibiting courage. And there's a great quote by Terence McKenna where he said that nature loves courage, and that when you exhibit courage, doubt gets out of the way. Whatever doubts you have, there is no option for it to survive. The doubt, I mean. You need to do what you're afraid to do. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it. Believe in yourself no matter what. And don't forsake yourself. Don't forsake your true self, you know, and your original calling. That thing that gets you to get the pencil, to get the pen, to get the guitar, to get the. Don't forget that artist. Nurture that artist. Nourish that artist every single day, whenever you can. If you have the liberty and the luxury to nurture and nourish that artistry within you, don't take that for granted. Take that moment that you have, that spare moment, and nourish that calling within you. That calling within you that is telling you, hey, you got something special within you that you got to share. So that's that. That's some hallmark shit right there, right?
Very wholesome, but
It's so wholesome.
wonderful parting messages to end this with,
No
Hector.
worries, man. No worries, Christian. Thank you for having me, bro.